From NBC 26, this is Storm Tracker Weather First.
Meteorologist Micah Rumsey here. I hope you're enjoying your evening. It's been pretty comfortable outside. We're taking a look at your live tower cam to show you people moving out and about here on this Friday evening, heading into the holiday weekend, and we see 64 degrees. We've dropped live tower cam, keeping me on my toes, and we're going to continue to watch for rain as well. While we're not seeing it at this moment, we could very well see some rain later on, moving into tomorrow as well as into your Easter holiday. Right now it's staying to the south around Savannah and Waycross. We'll address when the rain arrives and how it impacts your Easter Sunday coming up here in just a few minutes.
NBC 26 News at 11 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Guardaro, in for Paige Tucker. We begin with lawmakers in South Carolina debating over how much money to put towards fixing state roads. The House calls for more than $400 million in their budget and is awaiting Senate approval. And as soon as that's approved, lawmakers say construction on local roads and highways could start in a few months. NBC 26's Wen Lei has the details.
The bumps and unevenness on South Carolina's side of I-20 could soon be a thing of the past. Local lawmakers say once the state budget is finalized, work on the interstate could start as soon as this summer.
As soon as you cross the state line in South Carolina, I-20 just falls apart.
It's an all too familiar sound for drivers crossing the Georgia border into South Carolina. Drivers can clearly tell there's a difference in the quality of roads with the thumping their cars make.
Nothing should be a higher priority than I-20 because I'm on I-20 every day and I see how bad it is.
State Representative Chris Guardaro says work could start at the Georgia side of I-20 or on the opposite end of the state.
As soon as you cross the bridge, it's, your car starts shimmying and shaking and you're worried about your tires and everything. So it's a little embarrassing to see Georgia on their side, and then as soon as you cross the state line, ours is in such disrepair.
This week, House members voted to allocate $415 million out of the state budget to go towards state roadways. $50 million of that would go to the County Transportation Commission to work on Aiken roads like Jefferson Davis Highway.
So we funded enough to fix the roads one time. But it's not going to be continuous.
Corley says there needs to be major reform to SCDOT and a solution so roads can be maintained for years to come. The fate of the improvements now lie in the hands of the Senate. The Senate has until the second week of June to approve the state budget. Here for you in South Carolina, Wen Lei, NBC 26.
There is booming business on Washington Road. A number of restaurants are popping up days before Masters Week starts, and other places are already getting ready for the biggest week in Augusta. Just this month, Chicken Salad Chick and PDQ made their debut in Augusta. But it's not just enough to serve food and drinks during Masters Week. Bar owners know they have to do more. Tin Lizzie's will have a parking lot party along with a hydration station to bring in more customers.
This year we're more stable. We have a good group of people, good staff. We know what we're getting ourselves into, so we're ready this year, so it's going to be a lot better.
Great Top says this is a prime time to show off your business. Now turning to tonight's crime alert, Richmond County authorities have charged a man wounded in a recent shootout with murder. Kevin Leslie is accused of killing Deshaun Johnson on March 15th. The two had confronted one another at a home on Valley Park Court when they exchanged gunfire. Johnson died at the scene, and Leslie was taken to AU Medical Center with a bullet wound to the chest, but was released this week and immediately taken to jail. Now, it's been 5 years since former Columbia County Commissioner Scott Dean was convicted on 2 counts of child molestation. He's currently serving prison time, and now he's fighting once again for a chance at freedom. NBC 26's Ashley Campbell has the story.
We, the jury, find as to count 1, guilty. We, the jury, find as to count 2, guilty.
One verdict totaling 20 years behind bars for former Columbia County Commissioner Scott Dean in December of 2011. Dean was convicted on 2 counts of child molestation when his adopted daughter, Silda Dean, said that he inappropriately touched her and exposed himself to her.
Raise your right hand, please.
Fast forward to 2013, Silda recants her story under oath.
Did Scott Dean ever touch you between your legs?
No, he didn't.
Did he ever expose himself to you?
No, he didn't.
Did he ever ask you or say that he wanted to have sex with you?
No.
It's this testimony that Dean's new attorney hopes will free him. A petition for a writ of habeas corpus was filed in federal court this week, part of it stating that Silda Dean should be charged with perjury after she changed her testimony on the stand regarding her previous allegations against Dean. Dean's wife, Renee, says that they've exhausted almost every effort to bring her husband home.
Any appeal that's been available to us, changing lawyers, trying to just change tactics, prayer vigils, candlelight vigils, writing letters.
Now she says this is his last effort for freedom.
One of the things that if we can't get it done at this federal level, I'm really not sure where we go from here.
I reached out to Dean's attorney, Stephen Reba, and he provided this statement. Quote, Scott's conviction is based entirely on perjured testimony. The district attorney's refusal to prosecute the perjurer is a violation of Scott's due process rights under the federal Constitution. Having been denied any meaningful review at the state level, we are asking the federal court to intervene and free an innocent man, end quote.
And if worse comes to worse, we go on. We don't want to ever lose hope.
District Attorney Ashley Wright says she's not planning on charging Silda Dean with perjury. Right now, Scott Dean is set to be freed in 15 years with 10 years probation. And a bill is on Governor Nathan Deal's desk that would help with the backlog of rape kits in Georgia. The bill would require law enforcement to find and count untested sexual evidence. It also sets a timeline for addressing future cases, giving officers 96 hours to pick up kits and 30 days to get them to GBI. Advocates say thousands of kits are sitting on shelves awaiting testing.
If a survivor of sexual assault comes into the ER after the assault has occurred and has, the ability to sit through an entire evidence collection kit, then we owe it to them to at least test these kits if they want them tested.
Now, a similar effort in Detroit to test backlog rape kits identified nearly 2,500 suspects, including more than 400 suspected serial rapists. And community activist Lori Davis is saying she's disturbed with the lack of attention the city has paid to Mercy Ministries, a homeless shelter downtown. Davis says fire department conducted an inspection on the shelter and found it didn't have proper working sprinkler system and exit lights. She says the fire department condemned the building, but code enforcement never followed through. Davis says she's not against helping the homeless, but feels there are several better options nearby.
It's not Mercy Ministries' fault, it's not the director's fault, it's the city's fault. They created this whole situation because they didn't shut this place down 7 years ago when it was in worse shape than it is now.
We called Mercy Ministries for comment, but we were unable to reach anyone. Now, South Carolina's unemployment rate remains unchanged. The Department of Employment and Workforce says the jobless rate was at 5.5% last month. The rate has remained the same for the last 6 months. Bamberg County had the highest unemployment rate in February at 10%. Both Lexington and Charleston counties had the lowest rate at 4.5%. Now, the Pentagon is claiming victory tonight in the fight against ISIS. The group's #2 leader was apparently killed. Now, it's not clear exactly how or when Haji Aman died. Military officials believe he was in charge of ISIL's finances, and U.S. officials insist killing Aman will hurt ISIS because he was the top money man with the group and because of his closeness to the group's reclusive leader. And new arrests in Europe as security forces go after those responsible for Tuesday's deadly attacks in Brussels. NBC's Richard Engel has reports from the Belgian capital on what's being done to prevent the next attack.
Several developments today with the announcement that U.S. Special Forces yesterday killed a top ISIS leader, the group's second in command. And now we're learning more about the atrocities that took place here in Brussels and who are the victims.
Tonight we've learned at least 2 Americans were among those killed in the carnage in Brussels. And now the hunt is on across Europe to stop the next attack with police raids.
Witnesses say one of the police operations took place here at this tram stop. Police approached a suspect who was waiting here. The suspect grabbed a woman, took her hostage. The police shot him in the leg, and the woman got away.
He took a hostage and laid on top of her. She was with a little girl, said a witness. All of it captured on cell phone video. Police with guns drawn as a robot examined the suspect. Once checked, Police dragged him away. This was the Brussels that greeted Secretary Kerry today. He said while the U.S. and others fight ISIS in Syria and Iraq, the group is looking to retaliate.
There's serious pressure being put on them, and I think that's going to raise the potential that some of the people who've been sent out of Syria over the course of the last 5 years may try to act out in other places.
Europe is on the trail of a major ISIS network, but European officials readily admit there are plenty of other networks looking for targets.
So now a race is on to root out what's left of the Paris-Brussels cell before it can adapt, regroup, and strike again. Richard Engel, NBC News, Brussels.
Your NBC 26 Storm Tracker forecast with meteorologist Micah Rumsey.
If you checked your thermometer today, it didn't change a whole lot. Our high temperature, 69 degrees, only 7 degrees above our low, 62, which is well above normal. Now the high right there near where it normally is this time of year. As far as rainfall goes, not really any rain today. A couple spots from our storm spotters saying they maybe saw 1/100 of an inch, 2/100 of an inch, but for the most part, zero here observed at Bush Field, not cutting into our yearly deficit, almost 4.5 inches now, but we're going to start cutting into that here very, very soon. Before we get to the rain, let's talk about the temperatures. We're seeing them comfortable tonight, right? 63 degrees in Augusta, 66 in Barnwell, 64 in Louisville. So nice, comfortable temperatures tonight. If you head out this evening, it's going to be pretty nice out there. And that's what most of Georgia, Carolina is seeing. 63 in Augusta compares to 63 in Atlanta. Same thing for Greenville. 66 in Charleston. The colder air is back up towards Nashville, Tennessee at 43 degrees. Now let's take a look at that live Doppler radar. You're going to see the rain. It's staying off to the south and to the east right now. Around Charleston, there's some rain. Around Savannah, there's some rain. Down towards Waycross, there's some rain. So if you're doing some late night travels down to Florida or South Carolina or South Georgia, you may run into some of that rain. So be careful out there. But for the most part, a lot of it's staying clear. But that's going to change. The stationary front is going to do what it's named after. It's going to stay stationary, and it's going to hover right over the top of us. That brings rain chances throughout the day. Tomorrow brings additional rain potential here for Sunday into early Monday, and then by the time we get into Tuesday, that's when things really start to get clear and we have the clear skies. But when you have rain there over the holiday, that starts to put a damper on maybe some of the plans that you have. Now tonight we see temperatures in the 50s, mostly cloudy, maybe an isolated shower to the south, but overall we're staying just mostly cloudy. Tomorrow though, we see the scattered showers and storms, temperatures there in the mid 70s. So if you have the outdoor plans, maybe that's where you need to grab that umbrella as you walk out the door, because you could see a little bit of rainfall out there, and you know what that could affect, folks? That could affect the Aiken steeplechase.
I hate to see the steeplechase be in vain. In a nice day, it's perfect. I love the steeplechase, but when it's raining, it's just not the same.
It's not the same. Now, some horses are mudders. A wise man named Kramer once said that. So maybe some of those horses can get out there and still really get through the track, even if it's a little damp out there.
Yeah, but jumping's just not the same.
Anyway,
coming up next, the Aiken Spring Steeplechase that we're talking about that attracts thousands to the area is tomorrow. We'll fill you in with what you can expect. Stay tuned.